really like to learn 3D modeling, but I'm a beginner. I have never done this before. Can you help me? Where do I start?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. You only need a computer, a mouse, and if you have an option to buy a graphic tablet. Let me show you a bit. So let's open the ZBrush Core Mini, which is all free. You can use it either in Mac or in Windows. When we open for the first time, we see the interface of ZBrush Core Mini. We see a ball of clay in the middle of the scene. This is what we want to build our little sculptures on. But if we want another option, there is also a rectangle of stone. But we have to keep in our mind that if we change in between these two, we always have to save. But for this tutorial, I thought it's a better idea to work with the ball of clay. So I'm just fast turning back to that. So Andrea, you want to try?
Yeah, sure. What do I have to do?
Push the left click of the mouse and move on
Yeah.
the clay.
Easy. But now how do I draw on the back? How can I rotate this object?
On the right side, there's a rotate button. Push it and hold it while just moving your mouse. Or otherwise, you just go to the face, push your left button again in the mouse, and keep it holding and turn it. You also can do it on the empty canvas. You just push your left button and you can turn it with your mouse. There are some triangles on the top and there's a circle. Red one is making right and left. Blue one is making front and back. And the green triangle is making up and down. So that's it. If you want to snap to the axis, push the shift once in a while. So it is snapping what is nearest, left or right or up and down. So Andrea, you can also zoom to object with pushing the Alt key and pushing your left button on the mouse. And while doing that, you just leave the Alt button out and you start to move your mouse back and forth. So you can zoom. Or otherwise, you use the button on the right of the user interface. You just push the Zoom 3D and you keep on holding the left click of the mouse and you go up and down. To move, which in computer terminology we say panning, you just change the position of the model in the screen. You just keep on holding the Alt while you are just pushing your left button on the mouse, and you can change the position of the clay model on the canvas, or you just simply go to right again, keep on pushing the move button and pushing your left click of the mouse when you are moving your object right and left or up and down. As we change the position of the model, we can simply push the frame button on the right side or F to make it again in the center of our screen.
Yeah, cool. That's helpful.
So we learn how to navigate on the canvas. Let's move on modeling something.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. On the left side, these are our modeling tools. On the top, we can see the brushes. What I use the most is a move tool. By default, we have a symmetry, which is mostly used to build symmetrical objects such as face, body parts, and so on. So from the left and right side, we have the same distortion when we are using the brush. Meanwhile, we have to remember by pushing Ctrl Z button, we can turn back one move. If you are moving so much back, you can also push the Ctrl Shift Z button to turn back what you are doing. Unfortunately, there is no other option to do that. in other way in the ZBrush Core Mini. So this is the most important shortcuts that we have to remember. As we see here, we can make it double in the same time with a symmetrical way. If we close it, we just use it for one direction and not affecting the other side. For Move Tool, one of the most important things is draw size. It can either change the full form or give a detail. For example, with symmetry, if we just move the object a bit, it is changing from the clay ball to something whole different. But if you just make the draw size really small, it is just only working with the details. Let's say, just taking the horns inside like that. To use the draw size, we can use the shortcut S. We just push the S, and while pushing that, we push the left click and we go right and left to change the size of the brush. This is really helpful to build our main form. After Move Tool, one of the mostly used brush is standard brush. On the left side up corner, draw size matters in here because it could make a big differences or small nuances. It is mainly a linear form changing object. Another similar brush is clay build up. It adds up clay just to volume up our object. This will help us to build muscles or any form that we try to fatten up. We have to remember, which is not in ZBrush Core Mini detailedly shown, is Shift, used for smoothing the areas. Unfortunately, the program doesn't give us any other option than pushing the Shift to smooth the area. If we don't want that much strong touch, we can always go to High Polish to smoothen where we want to do. But Shift is a great tool just to give the feeling of a real clay. When we are using the standard brush, we can work the brush in a controversial direction. We can take it out the clay. We just push the Alt button while we are just using the standard brush. So we can open holes and we can shape our model accordingly. We have to remember draw size and intensity makes so much difference when we are using this function. For finalization, there are mostly 3 brushes in ZBrush Mini Core, which is Pinch, Snakehead and Slash. Pinch is mostly used to sharpen the corners. Remember to make draw size always relative to the area that you want to modify, so it can give the look what you are wishing for. Snakehead, we can use it for tentacles or shape some sort of demon. Slash is basically opening some holes, but in a texture sense. It will help you to modify the shadow and the light easily. Or some cases you just build your eyes or define the nose, what it has. But it is for the finalization of the project that you are working on. Inflate can add higher volumes such as cheeks and muscles, or even chin in this case because somehow we build a little monster here. Remember, we use symmetry or not, so if you want to take out the symmetry, you can use X shortcut, take it out the symmetry so you can build up one single volume with the inflate. What is so special about ZBrush, I find it chisel that you can find very end of the brush feature. It is basically already ready-made models. In this case, we see there is some noses and different forms that we can add add to our model, so it gives us fast manipulation if you want to build something realistic or let's say fantastic, to create a monster or so. Remember, when we are using chisels, intensity is really important. When we are hiring up the intensity, it could be a bit part away from the model that we are building up. If we are lowering the intensity, it is much more blended with the form. So this could be used to build a texture on the form that we already built. Most of the organic forms has some sort of little deformation on their skin, and we can fill it up with lowering the intensity and using some chisel. Like this scale tree, we can add a little texture to the side cheeks. So this distortion looks like some form of skin. Here we have 4 different chisel groups. The chisel shape, we can find the squares, and if you want to add it up to make something much more hard surface, we can always use them. On the left side, we see the materials. It will not change the final result, but we have to keep on remembering that. After a while, when we are using 3D modeling in the computer, we could not see some details because things are getting blended in our eyes. So changing the color a bit, much more sharper colors like red or something softer like blue, helps you to keep on working on the object. Occlusion, here you can use it time to time to add much more light and shadow. So it helps you to sharpen the areas. You can see much more details with the intensity of the light. Madcap red is one of the much more similar material to the realistic life. Mostly sculptors are using this red clay to build up their busts or any form. By the way, changing the material gives you some sort of fun. You can enjoy the feeling of a plastic look or golden, how it shines, and it keeps you motivated when you are building up your project. You know what? This object that you see here, I just modeled in ZBrush. Mm-hmm. It is for my latest project about memorials in our digital age, how future sculptures could be. And with the ZBrush Core Mini, you can also print your stuff. Are you interested?
True. I'm super interested to export our object.
Let's move to export. We just go to the user interface. On the top, we see export for 3D printing. We push that. There's only one format. It's called OBJ, which is a really standard format. So here we see our OBJ in the desktop. If you want to 3D print, we need another program that changes the 3D code. But right now, I wanted to show you how to upload to internet so you can share with your friends. It is also totally free, and it's called Sketchfab. In Sketchfab, open yourself an account, push the upload button. You can easily drag and drop to the area and confirm to upload. You can save for future or just publish it. This is how you share your 3D model with your friends.
Cool, that was actually much easier than I thought.
I'm happy to hear that. Remember, you have to keep on practicing to get better.
I will.